Anyway, hate to be a little drum, but I just, I've been watching a couple of news articles this weekend and last night, and the country's really getting crazier and crazier. So, and I'm saying the same thing in hopes to get people's attention, because we need to have a united middle class. A united and healthy middle class creates a strong America. And you have to listen to who wants that to happen and has ways of making it happen. And then we need to vote people in and vote people out according to their strengths or weaknesses. And it's going to take some time to do, to get finally a handle over our political system, because we have no handle over this. And the founding fathers gave us this, we owe it to them. They weren't perfect people, and they were elites, but they at least saw that this country, the middle class of this country needs to run the important issues directed by our politicians. And just like you have a head of a company and you have the crew of a company, if that's not going right in a company, one or the other, that company goes out, right? Well, this country is much, obviously a whole different scenario, but it matches a bit, because we're on the way to communism right now, or socialism, and there's no getting around that fact that either we come together and we pull together and we look out for our neighbors and we talk to each other and we do those things that our founding fathers gave us the freedom to do, or we don't have a society anymore. Anyway, we're going to start getting this down. I'm still working on some lighting. Barbie's moving to California, so she's going to be producer Barbie remote. But I think we might be able to get her on camera this way. So with all of that said, you guys have a great weekend. Say hi to each other. Go out and say hi to somebody. Just wave at them, man. Start that way. Just wave at them. Every time you see them, wave at them. You don't know them. And then you'll see the reaction change, evolve. You'll see the body language evolve. Go out and say hi to a couple of people today. Anyway, love you guys. Thanks for being here. Hey guys, how you doing? I just saw a bunch of people pop on, and then there was a text that came in from Barbie. Producer Barbie's out there. So when you're Baron, when you're on, she might be able to even hear you from down the street. You guys are in that same regional area, but I jest. So I've been trying that beginning video. I've done it now twice, and I think it's a good video. I wish I wouldn't have been leaning over here the whole time while I was talking, because I think it does explain and draw from the things that are important to the great middle class. And the only way we're ever going to get that, what do you think like in COVID and other people keep as much as they can, people separated, because people together are powerful. The middle class is greater than its individual parts. So with that, I'm going to bring on Baron here in a minute. You guys remember, well, here in a second. Well, actually, hold on. I've got a couple of really good shows coming on, coming up. The Alan Lazarus. We've got shows coming up that are highly motivational, inner motivation experts. And then we also have a couple of, we have a gentleman I'm going to be talking to pretty quick, which is really kind of exciting for me, and it's personal. He delves into ADHD and how to make calm in the chaos. That was right. And then we also have John Fisher and a couple other guys that are getting into, we did the Bitcoin a little bit ago. That was our second session. We have another one of those coming up, and then a couple more investing programs. And then today, actually the Bitcoin thing was funny because it ended up the last third of the show ended up being politics, and this dude was from Italy, and they watch our politics like the world watches our politics very intently, because we used to say however California goes, the rest of the country goes. I don't know if that's so true anymore, but or as much, or it can get back there. But as America goes, as the American middle class demands, so does the rest of the world. All right, I've taken up 5 minutes now. Guys, I like to talk. So with that, I am going to say hello again to Barbie, producer Barbie, and bring on Baron.
Hey.
I know you, dude. You look really familiar. Hey, by the way, in honor of this show, I changed my hair. Hold on.
Whoa.
The hippie and the skinhead.
Hey, now that would make a good series.
That would, wouldn't it? I mean, talk about political opposites, right?
It'd be like an update to All in the Family, right?
What was the other? There was a bunch of shows during that time that were like that, very political. It's amazing how long this country has been political, isn't it?
Yeah, it's part of the system.
When I say that, that was a really dumb way to put that. I'm sorry, I didn't even think about it when I said it. Our media has been political, driving subliminal and other messages, like you just said. All in the Family, that was a highly political show about current events and the struggles of the hippie and the Vietnam era, right?
Yeah, it was kind of showed the extremes, but there was a lot of truth on either side. I mean, that's how I took it.
Totally see that. Yep.
I'm a progressive liberal, but I still saw that show as pretty well balanced.
Describe what you are as people already know who've been to this show a couple of times. We've done a couple of these now, and I'm always right, but you're very nice about it, and we come together in the discussion and the fact that's out there. But describe yourself as a progressive liberal. What does that mean in the world today? Obviously, all sorts of these names are going all over the place. Let's educate ourselves about like how this should be run, and we start from our ideas come from some background in the politics. So if we know who we are, people know where that comes from, and that just opens up wonderful conversations, Baron.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I realize that some people hear the term progressive liberal, and they're going to automatically assume that I, think X, Y, and Z. That's
you're a wacko.
Well, yeah, that goes without saying, but yeah, that qualifies me even more.
I didn't mean about your day in and day out life. I meant your thoughts about politics, because right now, and the reason I asked you to do that is because right now, way more than half the country, I don't know the exact number, of course, but way more than half the country have looked at what we've gone through by the liberals, not the Democrats, but the more liberal and progressive side of that party. I know you have a different definition for progressive. Yeah. So can we kind of get into a little bit of information, knowledge? Let's learn what our political statements we hear mean. Descriptive statements we hear mean.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's some new term that needs to be coined in order to describe. I would describe myself as a Bill Maher liberal.
Oh, that's a smart. You're as smart as Bill Maher?
No. I'm just saying I agree with Bill Maher like 95% of the time. Every once in a while, like he's got a whole thing like
so do I.
He thinks the whole space exploration is a waste of time. I don't.
I don't either.
But
I don't either.
other than that, I agree with him on almost everything. And he's always slamming the liberals, rightly so, because like we talked
When
about
they deserve
before,
it, absolutely.
there are certain movements that come up. Now, the people on the right do this as well, but there's these certain social things that come up and they just get taken to the extreme, So what started off as
Give me a definition. Give me an example. Give me an example of that.
The woke movement. Remember, early in the woke movement, it was like, well, yeah, people should believe the women when they say, yada yada. It was a good social message and movement, and then it just went too far. And then every social justice warrior on the internet put their 2 cents in from getting side-eyed by somebody on the street. It just went too far. So that's why I love about your just the analogy of the middle of America and how these social norms and economic ideas, if they just kind of went more into the middle, then that's the starting point of being able to have a conversation. But when the right hates the left and the left hates the right, and that just gets us nowhere.
Yeah, and that's kind of what.
Here's one area that I would disagree with you a bit.
All right, you're off. You're out. Go. We don't take that. We're woke, so you have to not offend. What's the word? I identify as the number one host in the world, and so I don't make mistakes. But go ahead, plead your case.
Okay, well, one thing that I'm probably wrong about, but no, is when you talk about the media, and I'm not denying that the media isn't
that's what I was going to talk about.
Isn't feeding a lot of the, it's just it's not helping. Let's put it that in a lot of ways. In some ways it is, but in a lot of ways it's not. But we are the ones who determine what we consume. So, for instance, I look at something that Bill Maher would rant about, and I do the same thing. I'm out of here, right? Like it's clearly biased. It's clearly not clear thinking. It's obviously somebody's popped up about some cause that they support, and they're just no dialogue. The wall goes up and nothing penetrates.
Facts may be there, may not be there. It doesn't matter. I'm just emotionally spitting on or gurgitating on you.
Yeah, here's my opinion. Everybody likes to give their opinion,
Yeah.
So I don't think it's the media's fault. The media is just doing what the media does, like it's always done, right? They're trying to get eyeballs. That's all they care about. Right?
Yeah,
and there's some people who genuinely do care about getting news, but it's up to us to filter through that stuff and look at something and go, does that sound fair to me, or is it just kind of reaffirming what I already believe?
I agree with exactly what you're saying, except for you're assuming that the media is not just, yes, they have to get eyeballs. That's the only way they could stay alive in the past. But we're supplementing like Politico. We DOGE found, which we're going to get into, I hope. I think this is a beautiful part to set up that talk. But DOGE found that, I'm sorry, I can't remember the exact numbers, but they like $200 million a year they were given. I think it's that much. $200 million a year they were giving money to allow the supplementing of people having things that that enlong their subscription. So basically, we're paying $250 million a year. You are, and I am paying $250 million a year for, and that's not the only one, for these different other systems to be used as a information portal. What's the first thing a tyrant does, right? They take over the news. And what I've seen is building up over decades of time through the educational system and through the media system. We've all been kind of being pressed to head a different direction. And at the same time, we've been kept apart so that we don't talk about it. That's what seems to be. So I agree with you. The media is there to do. It used to be that the media was there to get that first, be the first one on the scene and break the news. They don't really do that anymore. They take information, both sides. I don't know any really good media right now, mainstream media right now on either side. But what do you think of my spewing off my stuff here, my friend?
What do I think about it in general? Because I still
I saw you move forward when I was talking, so I thought you had a point there, and I got off my soapbox.
Oh no. I still think if we could, concentrate whatever efforts we put forth to try to make things better, right? If we took more ownership on, what am I doing about, X situation? If I don't like something, what am I doing about it? Not like anybody has the power to, change the political system, but
one person does not.
If everybody, and in regard to the media, if everybody was just more discerning, that's all. Just being more aware of, like, my end goal is to make things better for as many people as possible, right? I mean, I think that's a common goal.
And informed. You're talking about the hosts of shows and the outlets themselves. This is what they should be striving for.
No, I think we as the consumers of the media need to be more discerning in what we listen to. And if you just want to listen to somebody rant about something that you want to rant about, it's fine, no problem. But I'm just talking about getting information. And I think that's the opportunity with, things like YouTube and these podcasts and whatnot, right? Just average dudes talking about stuff that is pretty important. We're not
dramatically important.
We don't have any degrees. We don't have, we just have our own lived experiences. And somebody like you and I mean, we've seen it. And I think this misty-eyed view of the 50s is, anyway, in certain respects, things were a lot better, but we had, 150 million less people and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So,
and we had a different social, things were different dramatically socially in the social norms. But I think that's about where that was the end. You say misty eyes. I think that was the last time the middle class had any kind of sort of power, that people actually still did what their constituents wanted them to do. Not a lot of it was bad. I mean, that wasn't exactly our best face, but the middle class was quite powerful.
Right. And I don't know where you stand on the whole issue, but I mean, what was it in the 50s? It was like 70% of the workforce was in a union. That was a contributing factor to us having workers having that kind of power. Now you could say, it went too far, like a lot of things, it goes too far in one direction or the other. But that middle ground, we're not at a middle ground anymore, as far as that particular aspect of middle class authority and push and weight,
Yeah, and if as much as that, the money, the wealth that the middle class comparatively had was putting them in a purpose to be able to build and grow and go out there and start businesses and so forth and so on. The unions are interesting that you bring that up, because even the unions are split now, right? That whole split between, how they vote and what the upper management does. I know what, obviously unions were built, like you said, for a reason. There was a lot of one percenters that were taking advantage of everybody else in their workforce and just crazy driving in dollars. And that's where that whole reputation of the wealthy, comes from, obviously. And in a lot of cases it's deserved, but I don't know. I just think that you talk about, we should be more discerning in what we hear. And so we've kind of gone around the subject, but and you and I have talked about this. I listen to all the different mainstream media, from NBC to local news to CNN to E24, the Israeli channel, BBC, and the reason I do that is because if I only listened to MSNBC and CNN, I would feel good about, right? If I had a certain set of beliefs, and if I only listen to Fox and Newsmax and there's other ones that are now starting to grow as powerful, or even in some cases more powerful as the other ones. You talk about being discerning, but there's some responsibility in that. And the shows like what we have here and others are making that easier to do. But nothing against the average American, but it's not like our first thought is to investigate every story. But that was when times were good. Now things are getting a little rougher. So I think we're starting to pay a little more attention. And it seems like a lot of the opinions that were during the woke days are just like, what the hell were we doing? What do you think about DOGE?
I like it in concept. I'm still concerned about how it's being implemented. And
what's the good, bad, and the ugly?
I mean, the one thing I'm waiting to see whether it's going to have the impact that it could have is when they tackle the military budget.
I think the next two are going to be insanely insane, and we're going to hear all sorts of. That's a technical term, That's a skinhead term. I don't like this round thing. It takes off that much, and if I'm not careful, I've got half a head. That kind of sucks. I like the design though, but I'm sitting too high for it. Let me hit a couple of things, then I want to go back to DOGE. So great start for the show. Excited today's show. Love the energy. There you go. Oh man. Oh, he's ready. The second half of this is going to be crazy. Love the energy conversation. Keeps me hooked. We got him. And he's a golfer, so it's not easy to get those kind of guys hooked. No, yeah, here, try. Love the energy. Keeps me hooked. Okay, let's go up here. This is you, Baron. Always brings a fresh perspective. Thanks for this show. We are getting more and more people coming back. I think this show, we got 300 and almost 400 people right now, but the number of returning people is really starting to climb, and I'm excited about that. There's still, look at that, I said that. Now we're at 400. So keep going, guys.
And we we haven't even started talking about science fiction.
Exactly. And by the way, what since he said that, I was advertising this at, holy cow, would you guys hold on? Let me catch up. I was advertising Baron's coming again to the show, being a very popular guest. I think you were one of the first shows that we had any real volume of guests, which so in comments. So, but I say politics with a twist. And I asked Baron earlier where, he brought up earlier how his thought of politics comes through the scope or the filter of science fiction. Right? Yeah. Go ahead. I could take you off stage, bro. Watch. Boom, you're gone. As Trump would say, you're fired.
He has the power.
I am Elon Musk on a very minute scale.
We're all a little bit Elon Musk.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, that's what makes the human being. So on DOGE, remember I told you back in when we were off camera before, I said, hey, I want to talk about DOGE this time because it's obviously what's happening right now. And you talked about the Defense Department, and then there's also the Educational Department, and people are already starting to
entitlements. Yeah, I mean, if your goal is to get efficiency, the stuff they're working on now is, it's a fraction of the budget. The big ones are.
It's a scratch on the top of the surface.
It's the military and its entitlements, Social Security, Medicare. Those are the big areas of potential saving. I mean, to me, it's always seemed like, everybody, you just can't talk about cutting the military, and I don't understand why. Like we don't need to spend as much as we do, one, and two, we've all heard the stories, the $300 hammer and that kind of stuff that goes on.
Oh, that hammer's now about $12,000. Used to be 300.
Must be a better hammer.
Yeah, it's they put a little polish around the metal part.
No, it's got a video camera on the end so it can see as it hits the nail. Okay.
That's very impressive. I like that. I don't know how long it lasts, but I like that. So the point being that you're right. Bigger numbers are going to come out of bigger scenarios, out of bigger budgets, right? Like defense being the most. But here's the thing that is really starting to frustrate me. You talked about people need to be more discerning in watching the news media they do and taking in that information and literally thinking about it. I think a way too great number of people watching news programs feel like they're getting the information in. They're not making decisions on the information coming in, like what you talked about. And so they're same old frickin' thing. The Democratic Party, the senators and representatives, and I mean, they are, without even knowing what exactly they are doing, are already setting the stage for all the CNN people and the MSNBC people. And I hate to put it that way, but we kind of really got to talk in straightforward, straight talk, right? And what I see time after time after time, and I know that I'm not wild because I think people are really starting to see this. 83% of Americans want exactly what DOGE is doing, and they want it the way it goes. Now, I always talk about this, like Reagan said, trust but verify. So yeah, absolutely. I hope this doesn't turn into, God, could you imagine if these guys really turned into the Nazi regime as they took all this power and win it? And then all of us, me, are going, fuck. why did we do that? Just like the Germans back, the Germans after World War II were like, how did we let that happen? But right now, I think the opposite's happening. And that video I put before, some of those were before the election and all that. But the way I see DOGE, and I know the personalities and the people are different. So our founding forefathers, sorry, I'm taking a long one here, and I want you to really go after that. And where am I misinforming people or however, let's ponder both sides of this. So I see DOGE as how the forefathers envisioned Americans, citizens coming into the government from their small business, their printer shop, their farm, their doctor's office, all the different people would come. They see a problem, they'd run for a term or so, a couple of years, and then they go back to fund, and that new fresh idea comes. What happens now is people come into the government for a reason, and then the system just envelops them. And I mean, oh my God, we have people that are on $150,000 salary in the Senate and in the Congress with $150,000 salary or less, and they're worth $20 million. And coming in, they were bankrupt, and that's not a small case. And I bet you on the news that comes out to, the Bernie Sanders 9 homes and $90 million, all these, Pelosi, everybody, and this is what I think everybody's concerned about with DOGE, is, so I'm expanding what I originally wanted to talk about here, but it's all kind of, it's happening now, and it's interesting because, again, the American people have to look at more than one news media, because we've almost lost our entire freedoms, and they're just going down chunk by chunk by chunk by chunk. Now we have that opportunity to get, in my opinion, get that back. And on top of that, I still believe that these are, they're all billionaires. I know, I get it. But why would Elon Musk, the wealthiest man in the world, who has, I don't know, $300 billion or something? I believe that he wants to do this to make a better country. I've always believed Trump is doing this because he wants to make a more perfect union. I think Elon and others feel the same way. I think there's other guys in there that, looking to make a buck, but I believe that it's that scenario where the founding forefathers said, come serve your country and then go back to the fields and trust, but verify. But do you see how the Democrats are fricking blowing up? There's not even anything they've talked about cutting yet. I mean, they fired the people, they bought out their contracts. But why are so many people on the left so threatened by this? Can you answer that, Baron?
Well, I can't pretend to, speak for the left, other than it's just
83% of Americans want this. 83.
Yes. And that probably goes back through history, right? The history of the country. You ask the general populace, what would you like the government to run more efficiently? And they're going to say, well, yeah, we're paying taxes. Yeah, we want you to run efficiently. Come on, get it together. Yeah,
you're right. I mean, those general statements. Let me just finish. But in this case, they're asking that question of how the DOGE system is operating and what they're doing. There's some specifics there, and yet they're saying, yes, we want to get rid of corruption and so forth. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of having a different, a different opinion about how that's being executed, and in some ways, they seem to be jumping the gun a little bit. Now, it's not hair on fire time and the whole, anybody on either side that gets
Where are they jumping the gun?
crazy about, oh my God, the country's going to hell in a handbasket. No, it's not. It's going to survive like it always has. Guy's going to be in for 4 years or 8 years, and then it's going to be some, you know what I mean? So that as a backdrop, I think there are some legitimate concerns about, again, taking the role. I mean, in the Constitution, the Congress has the power to fund or defund, not one guy, right? So I mean, look,
that's not how it works.
If you think the guy's going to do nothing but make great decisions, then of course that makes sense. But I think it's legitimate to question.
It's not what they're doing.
All of the decision. That's all. I don't think people should be freaked out about it, but I think
and they are, and that's the problem. They are. I of course, absolutely, that this system was built on debate, and that. But when people are saying we're going to fight in the streets, we're going to, and now everything they called Trump, they're now calling Elon Musk, those same things, and it just boggles my mind how anybody at this point now, if something happens and they do something that's like, whoa, fuck, then okay. But why you said hair on fire? I don't have any hair on fire, man. Why is the Democrats have the what is people hiding? Do you know that during COVID, $1 trillion were stolen from our taxpayer money? 70% of that went out of country. That there are people just sucking up our money, my money, your money. I want a utopia. It takes money to have that happen. And 83% of Americans, when asked, do you approve of what DOGE is doing? The answer is yes.
Okay.
Oh, geez, you had nothing to come back up.
Well, this is what
I'm making that good of arguments, aren't I?
Yeah. Well, no. Again, this is part of the process of bringing up the idea. I did, want to caution you because you started saying the Democrats, So I just think you got to be real careful about
who's speaking up.
You hear whatever it is that you hear, and you don't understand why people don't, are so incensed about it. The same thing for me from time to time. I wonder sometimes why are people, on the right get so incensed about certain things too. So, we have those differences, but it's like, everybody's an individual, and I think everybody does have a desire to be in the middle. So I'm just cautioning you. You started to go into the Democrats is like that's some monolithic,
The only reason I said that is because they're the only ones freaking out. I mean, did you see Maxine Waters the other day in front of the U.S.?
Now you're getting, I'm just saying if
that's
you want
insane stuff. That's so CNN can tell half the country that what is happening is wrong for them. And I really believe there is, I was talking to a guy yesterday that talked about conspiracy theories and hoping that, this administration continues to release those paperworks. Because the funny thing is, if you go back in history, all the conspiracy theories basically are true. It's an overgeneralization, but there's a reason people start getting upset, really upset when they see what's going on, especially after being attacked for the last 8 years about what we know, because we think, what you said, we should be using the information that we take in and analyzing that, not just hearing what we hear and it's automatic truth. And for 10 years, I believe more people on the right have been doing that than people on the left. And like you said, we're all swayed by the moment of the times. But I think that a lot more people the news media has done a much better job in the CNNs and so forth to polish their delivery and polish their story according to what their buddies in the White House wanted. Same with social media. And I think we're making a turn now. And that's why I come so emotional to this particular subject. Because I think all they're doing is they're coming in from the fields. They're cutting the waste in America, and then they're heading back out. I have no idea what Elon could really benefit from unless he's doing like Trump. I love it. You know, Trump's been talking about this since he was in his 30s, man, when he was a Democrat, right? You see the interviews when he was on Oprah Winfrey show and, you know, all those things when he was just a businessman and quote unquote a Democrat. Now he's evil, but now the people really like him. So now Elon's evil because I guarantee you people are going to jail. People are going to jail. There's no doubt in my mind. And that never happens.
What does that mean? People are who's going to jail?
Okay, so you know how many? I'm specifics, you know, but I'm not an expert on anything at all. But
Yeah.
I guarantee you that in the past there's been so many, like the Hunter Biden laptop, let's say, and this thing about money being laundered overseas, and this thing, and they always come up in a couple of election cycles, right, or news cycles, and especially around election time, these things always come up, and then they just kind of disappear. You know, like the Congress has a $30 million slush fund to pay for lawyers when they've been accused of sexual harassment. You know, when people that are accusing the congressman of social, and that was a big deal for a minute, and then it went away. And all these different things are going away. But I really believe our time has come. This is the golden time for America. And I really believe these people are coming in. They're doing their 4 years. And if they do it right, obviously the VP's got the next 4. Or yeah, at least 4. Anyway, I really believe people are going to jail because there's nothing but corruption going on in Washington.
Yeah, I don't share that dim a view of our government. But you know, there's certainly stuff there. Yeah. I mean, we talked about, I told you this before, if there was like a single, and I would call it progressive, a progressive, very progressive policy, simply meaning that the intention is to progress this thing. No, you know, the status quo ain't good enough. We need to progress to something that works better. So that's all progressive means. It doesn't mean you're a liberal and you support, you know. So,
but that's why I was saying earlier, say what they're about.
Yeah, the single, I think, most impactful thing would be to have publicly funded elections. We talked about this briefly before. If there was one thing that could start that process of having a better informed electorate. And
how does that do that? I don't get how that does that. I know we talked about it before. It take a lot of, you know, anybody can run now, not just billionaires, but it take, you know, eliminate that kind of thing. But how would it do the rest of it?
Well, yeah, I mean, so just the thing, I mean, what was spent on the last election, like close to $2 billion.
More than that.
It's just, yeah. Anyway,
Kamala spent $2 billion.
No, I think that was a total. But anyway, okay. Well, whatever it was a
astronomical
of money, and just it's just such a waste. So in a publicly funded election, it would have to be passed by Congress. It would have to take an act of Congress to, like, one thing, you could not show political ads. There would be no advert. You'd have your freedom of speech. So if there's that argument, it's like, well, it's impinging on my freedom of speech. Oh yeah. So if you have $10 billion, you have more freedom of speech than I do. So anyway, so you would ban that. Like, who would have a problem with that? No more political ads. And
I hate political season.
You would insist that all the major networks and anybody affiliated, I mean, there'd be plenty of ways to share a common format for candidates. Now, how you get the candidates, you'd have to narrow it down by some kind of a process, right? Like, you can't just be anybody. I'm going to run for president, so you have to have a certain amount of constituency, something, right? Like a qualifying thing. So you'd wind up with whatever, 10, 20 candidates. They'd all get equal time. They would all be asked the same questions by a panel of people from every political stripe, answering the same questions, and you level the playing field. So you actually could have somebody like you or me actually run for president.
I'll be your VP.
If we were compelled to do so,
Yeah, I'll be your VP. That'd be a great party, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
that'd be better. That'd be better than the Green Party, I think.
Well, that's the kind of thing. I mean, and I think that's happened a couple times in USS where the vice president was of one political party and the president was of another. Has that happened? Like,
I think it happened in the 1800s once. I think.
Yeah.
I think it was like right after the Civil War or something. There was something like that did happen.
Anyways, yeah. So you remove all of this secondary waste, unbelievable waste of resources and time and attention. Like, if the only thing you could watch about any of the candidates was the same interview for everybody, being asked the same question, if that's all you could watch, unless you want to watch whatever fringe thing you want to watch, that's fine too. But the common information platform for all of the candidates would be exactly the same, and then let the people decide.
I get that. But here's my issue with that. And yes, all that cost would go down. There'd be a lot less money in. I mean, it's donors or rich people are giving other rich people money so they can make rich politicians in office. But shit, I just lost my thought. Damn it. The theory in what you're talking about and being able to have the media have a panel from all different sides of politics ask the same exact questions, and then if that's how it straight out goes out, then that's one thing. But I guarantee you that panel discussion or that back and forth between the two parties, it's going to look a lot different. Same exact thing, but with edits. And I mean, literally, the New York Post or NBC News literally took from the interview that Kamala did right before the election. She did an interview. They literally took her actual answer to this one question, cut that, and put in an answer to a different question because it sounded better. That's a fact. That's what news media is doing and has been doing forever, but now on a pretty major scale. And that's why I think people are really dumping the traditional news. Yeah, they're getting bad reputation, but there's a reason why. They're literally, and Baron, I know you don't believe this, but literally each news organization is their mission is to get the word out of their side in the best light as possible, and doing as much damage to the other side and their story as possible. And the only reason I say that is because I watch all the different stuff, and then you hear the little things that crack out, like this story about you see, that's not the same story. When CNN watches this and then Fox News watches this, those are two different edits, right?
Two different points of view on the same information. Yeah.
Yeah. No. You can't say that. You can't say that. You can't take the answer from a different completely question because it sounds better than the way you answered it. That's not a different viewpoint. That is a media source that its sole duty is to inform the public and make a profit. And that's misinforming. That's misinforming the public. That's like saying a police officer comes up and somebody says, "Hey, he shot him," and it was actually your brother or your sister. That's not a different viewpoint. That's altering the facts. Do you not agree with that? I'm not setting you up, Baron. I don't mean that. It sounded like I was setting you up. I'm not.
I know that stuff goes on. You will admit it goes on both sides. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So now what?
Well, there's a dramatic difference in what's happening now. I mean, you're talking about the old.
I don't understand where, and I know that's a common sense among a lot of people, and it's understandable. But it to me, it's just another fleeting part of the cycle of and now that we have the internet and now we have 10 billion voices talking all at the same time, I think if again we just stay aware of whatever motives are going on and just watch stuff and decide for ourselves, this strikes me as true, this strikes me as not true, and just go with it step by step like that, and just be able to recognize when you are being biased and just try to moderate that so that we can talk together, even though we have very different ideas about how things are working and that kind of thing. That's all.
Yeah, but how can you do that? How can you expect somebody like my life suddenly has become a lot more about politics and different discussions because of the show, and I just freaking love it because I'm learning so much, because I'm talking to people like you and other people same views. I had a interview with a Muslim in that religious comparisons to Western religions and how the Islam religion, which by the way, Muslim isn't necessarily Islam and Islam isn't necessarily Muslim, but how that religion is starting to positively affect parts of Europe and Canada and California and America. So I can't expect. I mean, it'd be silly to expect that everybody has the same interests as everybody else to the same degree. So, when somebody looks at a news, and what my whole point is, and why I use that example of different opinions is because you're absolutely right. And in a real world, no, this is a real world, right? This is real. Okay? Pinch me. In a real world, the news would be coming out. Like the 50s is a great example. We either got the news right or wrong. I think more people trusted the news back then. But when we got it, it came out to all of us the same way. And so then you can discern the difference. But what's happening now is literally, I'm not kidding you, there are two sets of facts depending on every situation. My God, I think it's everyone. There are two sets of facts depending on what side of the, what media you listen to is on the side. Oh, damn, I didn't have my light on over there. Damn it. I would normally look better than this, but there's a red light.
I think your lighting looks really good.
Yeah, I know. I just realized there's a thing that usually makes it look better. I'm actually better looking than this, but you can't tell. So there's
two there's two sides to that story you just told.
The last one or the light one?
Are you telling the truth or are you making something up?
Right now, I'm making something up. Oh, wait, did somebody say something? What is the most surprising political twist you've seen recently? That's not what you were saying, but go ahead. What do you think it is?
A surprising political twist?
Yeah, look on your screen there.
Yeah. I see that. I'm trying to think of like surprising political twist. I don't know. I think it's like too early to see something that I mean, I can only speak for me, but is your sense that things are progressing politically kind of like how you thought they would, right?
No.
Way.
I expected the pedal to be put to the metal, but the way it's going right now, this cabinet is blowing my mind. I mean, to listen to them talk in debate against others in the past is fascinating. So to me, the twist is, if you remember, Trump came in and he didn't really know what to expect, and who's the right guy, who's the girl, who's the wrong one.
Talking about
all that.
Term? You're talking about his first term.
His first term. And then he had 4 years to look at this stuff. And he's come in the first term, he was talking about cleaning the swamp, draining the swamp. That's what's happening now. That's what this whole DOGE and everything else is about. The biggest twist to me is that this guy is a freaking political, governmental strongman. I mean, he's very, intelligent about this stuff. I mean, yeah, he is good and bad or whatever in business, but this twist is, I was scared we weren't going to win. And I say that if Trump wasn't going to win, but I think the whole country won because of this election. But the twist is, oh my God, they've only been doing this 3 weeks.
Oh, so the twist for you is the speed at which they're tackling these things
and efficiency.
Well, that remains to be seen, but yeah, I
no kidding.
And just remember, like, I think that this needs to be put in the background, and I'm not trying to make any express any opinion about it. Is it good, bad, or indifferent? I'm just saying that, like a lot of elections in the past, people talk about a mandate. There's no mandate. Approximately half the country is not down for some of this stuff, and that's right. That's the freedom to think and express, whatever you wish. Mm-hmm. Again, it's finding the common ground that I think we're going to get the most thing. But to act surprised that half the country, again, maybe isn't as pleased as you are with how things are going. I mean, you just have to consider that, right?
I think more people are pleased about how it's going than half
About
the
half the
country thing is
country.
absolute. I don't know about that. Honestly, I don't. I mean, if 83% of the country wants DOGE in the way it's happening, I believe at some point in time when we get in control, I think we talked about this before. I honestly believe right now it's always 50-50, 51 versus 49 or 3 versus 48 or whatever it is. It's always very.
Yes, it's like Reagan. Reagan was the last president who had a mandate.
Oh, that dude had every state but Wyoming. No, not Wyoming. Minnesota. That was the only state he didn't win. Yeah, that would be considered a mandate.
A mandate. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think you'll ever have that in today's world. Remember, we're coming out of Carter into this guy that promised to make our lives a whole lot better, and we're kind of coming out of that now. But our social norms are so different now that I don't ever see that coming out as a mandate. But I believe that, trust and verify, same Reagan, that if this goes through the way it is believed or at least envisioned, that means we're going to have a political party system that's totally different. I mean, we should have like 70-30, right? I mean, not everybody's stupid and not everybody's smart because they have a D or an R or an I behind their name. Look at Barry Sanders. He's more left than you are.
Bernie Sanders, yeah, I would say
he's an independent
for the most part.
Yeah, right. I don't know why he's an independent, but anyway, I'm just spewing off stuff here.
Because he doesn't think the Democrats go far enough.
Okay. Well, what about Omar?
I don't know enough about her politics. I mean, she strikes me as a progressive liberal.
She's married to her brother, right?
She's married to her brother? Okay. Is that a custom?
Is that not a bad thing? Is that not a bad thing?
I don't know the circumstances. Is it part of her culture?
To get him,
I thought it just on the surface, I find it extremely difficult to believe.
So he could stay in the United States.
Huh?
So he could stay in the United States.
She married her brother so that he could stay in the United States.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
that's one of our leaders in our political system, for instance. All these different, and we put them in there. It's all of us. It's all of our fault. But I believe we have, I don't know, maybe 70% of the politicians are taking and doing more receiving of good than giving it out to their constituents. I think that's a pretty fair number, which means it's both sides. And I've always said it's been both sides. I just think right now there's an agenda that the left has that's much more potent than just, the Democrats and the Republicans should have different. We need at least two parties. And right now, who knows who's what? I mean, shit, the unions are supporting Trump. That would have never happened. Defense is supporting the left side. The whole party structure's changed, and they're still saying the same stories, and it just seems to me there's something else going on. Go ahead. What?
Well, you just said stories. I like this question. How does storytelling impact political discussions? Oh, I love that question.
Okay, this is how we're going to kind of roll into I've been saving that. With it, we're going to roll into the science. When you say that science fiction has had an effect on your political view or your view of the world, either of those makes sense, obviously. But tell us that story. It's interesting. I know you're a filmmaker, so obvious that makes sense. But go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I've been a political junkie since I was like a teenager. Watergate and the whole thing. I mean, it was just, to me, it was just fascinating. It was this whole world that I never, it was like, whoa, So I've been hooked on politics since that. And I've also been reading science fiction probably since I was a teenager, pretty steadily. And the some of the stories and the projections and like what if this happened and how would that affect society has just given me I don't know, a very I'm able to like step back and kind of look at it from 30,000 feet a lot easier, because these for me, reading about these different societies and what if this alien race did this and what if they had this, and a lot of science fiction, the political science fiction is just, some of my favorite. The worlds that are built with imagining societies working in different ways. This whole notion of you've heard of generational starships, where they'll have like hundreds of thousands
Generational
in a cylindrical spaceship, spin it, give it gravity, run a beam of light down the middle of it, and then the intention is it's going to take centuries to find this, that, or the other star, so that people they're going through different generations. I mean, just fascinating to me. It's all very fascinating. And good
fascinating. The fascinating part about it is everything you just described. We've already seen on TV, and everything we see on TV in time becomes reality, because whatever we think as a human being, we can achieve, right?
Yeah.
Whatever we believe, we can achieve, as the old saying goes. So, when you're saying that, then you're saying that your thoughts about politics, or the political structure as it evolves through time and generations, is influenced because you're looking towards the future on how the world's different, science fiction shows and movies, how the different societies are. Is that kind of is that not a guiding light, but does any of that have influence? I'm going to take me off. I'm going to turn this light on because it's driving me nuts. All right, here you go. Go ahead, answer.
Go ahead, answer the question. No, just the in reading stories and being exposed to all these different ideas about the future and how long certain things take. I guess that's giving me the perspective of taking the long view of things. That's why we've talked about this before. I don't understand the people that get their hair on fire whenever Nancy Pelosi does this or Donald Trump does that, right? Like either side, like what are you getting so excited about? It's a blip. It's a blip in the cosmic scale. It's like, chill out, relax. Let's, take it step by step, and again, if you want something to change, do something about it.
Yeah, that's the problem is people are just now doing that, I think. Do you think humor helps people engage in politics?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Because it's all absurd, right? Politics it's absurd. It's like a bad soap opera. There's
days of our lives.
Real genuine consequences going on, but yeah, I think that's another thing. I mean, we talked about that before too. I think people should have a playful mindset about everything.
Changes the vibe, right? I mean, we talk about vibe and energy in the world, what you're letting out, what you're bringing in, what affects you, and I think everybody needs humor in their life, and it's important, and it's healthy.
Yeah. I mean, you've heard all the things. I mean, laughter is, I mean, just from a medical standpoint, laughter is really good for your organic system. Right?
Mhm. Including your breathing. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, you're strengthening all that as well,
I mean,
not
what's
just by the vibes, but the energy.
what is better? What is better on planet Earth than being in a discussion with somebody and everybody just loses it, right? You have zero control. You're laughing like little kids, giggling like little
Yeah,
kids. What's better
yeah,
than that?
nothing, not a
Not,
single thing. I think this next one we got a little ahead of ourselves, or we already covered this one. Uh, your what inspired you to the unique approach to politics, and that was where we were talking about looking in the long, you know, how different societies and so forth. You want to give a last thought on that one?
sure.
Oh, you looking at it again? Hold on. There. You know,
Yeah,
being science fiction, that's I think
yeah,
kind of where you were going.
yeah, it's not really something like I set out to do. I was interested in politics, just, you know, for all the different reasons. And I liked science fiction because it really explored what, you know, what it means to be human. And I've had experiences and thought. I've had thoughts reading certain science fiction books that I've never had before.
That was the mushrooms.
Right? I mean, that, yeah, it's not every day that you say, man, I never
No,
considered that before. Like, what would that really be like? It's like, wow.
that's what I love about this show, is because that happens all the time. I mean, we're bombarded by information, but we literally live in a cocoon. And when you sit down and have a conversation with somebody, and you take in that concept and that thought, and it changes you, it's the most amazing, self-fulfilling, confidence-building thing there is.
Yeah, yeah. That's why, yeah, I'm yeah, so supportive of your uh, you know, your general idea about getting people together that think differently. So if you start straying from that, I'm going to pull you
No,
back in. I'm just,
hell no,
I
no,
ain't
no,
letting you get
no.
away with that. Come on, man.
You got to deal, brother, man. So as we wrap up here, it looks like, what is one political misconception that needs to be debunked? I I don't have anything wrong with my political leanings at all. So, what do you see as? I'm just throwing little jabs at you just for fun as we wrap up here. So, is that a question that you think really can be answered at this point? Because nothing at this point has been debunked anywhere. It's just everybody screaming what they say their truth is at this point.
Yeah. So was the question, do I see anything being debunked?
Actually, it's do you see political narrow? Oh, so that's a different one. This one too is also good. Sorry, I
Oh,
clicked on
yeah.
the
These are
wrong one.
great questions. Really good
Yeah,
questions.
what one? So let's answer this one, then we'll go back to the other one, because I think that's already obvious. But go ahead, debunked.
Political misconception that needs to be debunked.
A little deep. That's a bit of a deep question.
Yeah, it is. I think as a general rule that individuals, even though we all say we agree with this idea that yes, the individual and every vote counts and all that stuff, I think that's a big political misconception, is that we don't have the power. You know, I mean, it's collectively it needs to work that way. That's why things like this are so important, because if we hit that common ground, then we can hold any side, this side, that side, that side. It doesn't matter what side it is.
Oh my God, you're
If
so right.
everybody's on the same general page and are tired of going, no, you're too extreme. No, you're too extreme. Let's do things that can be done, and that, you know, the majority of people want things to work. You know, nobody likes this fighting and fussing and all the time, and oh, look at that person, and oh, you're a conservative, so you must be like that. Oh, you're a liberal, you must be like that.
100%.
Yeah, we're sick of it, and we've been sick of it. So I think things like this are the ways to do it. Just like you always say, talk to your neighbor, and and again, do it with humor and playfulness and curiosity.
Yep.
Because you find out stuff that always enriches you.
I heard this. I watched this film clips from Ted Lasso's. Do you know that show? I've never actually seen the show, but I see all the clips. It's very
what's the general
Ted
theme?
Lasso. He went through a divorce, and it's a series. It's a show. I actually haven't found it yet, but I get it on my phone all the time, so I see 2-minute clips of it every day. But he somehow ended up in England coaching a soccer team, being an American of an old high school football coach, and so it's his whole perspective about life that people are learning from him, which are totally different than he is. These are all European soccer players. Anyway, he reminded me of a quote by Walt Whitman, I think it was, if I remember right. It says, "Be curious, not judgmental." And that's a powerful statement.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. When you're genuinely curious about things, you're way more apt to receive information without bias.
Bingo.
And then make up with it what you will. But when you're actually curious, instead of, you've seen this 100 times. Somebody asks, a question, a conservative asks a liberal, what do you think about this? And they don't really care about the answer.
No, none of them are that way.
On both sides. When you're genuinely curious what somebody has to say and how they think and what they think are good solutions to common problems, that's where you're going to get that aha moment that I always get reading science fiction. It's like, oh yeah, we should try that.
Absolutely. All right, last question of the day as we wind down here. It looks like people got tired of me talking. So this last one is, how do you see political narratives evolving in the digital age? That's a really great question, because you're talking about AI, all the different social media. And look what happened with Trump. I mean, he got that young man vote because of Baron telling him, "Hey, go on these social medias." What do you think? How do you think that's going to evolve?
Don't blame it on me.
Hey, you're the movie maker, dude. You're the one. I know it's you. So what do you think?
I like a lot of things, things could go sideways, but I think there's a lot of encouraging ideas with things, again, like this podcast. More and more people, wanting to put out something that you don't, typically see. And if enough people gravitate to different voices that are still speaking a common language, and have a common intention behind them, that's where I think the political narratives will evolve, and it'll, maybe be very scattered. Right? Like we'll listen to, maybe 5 people on the right and 5 people on the left, and get value in all of it, because people won't be restrained. They won't be like, I gotta believe like this, or I'm not part of the tribe or whatever. Right?
Yeah. Right.
So.
All right. Yeah. No, that's
evolve.
That's a great observation. I think we got all of the questions in. There were a bunch of excited this and that, but no real questions. So we didn't read every single thing, but I think we got pretty much through it. As a closing thought, Baron, and of course you'll be back. We love doing this. But in closing thought, what do you want to say?
Have fun, everybody.
There you go, my friend. All right, buddy. Hey, listen, I'm going to let you go back to that beautiful Southern California area. I'm looking out my window of the studio here. We're expecting almost a foot of snow. So, yeah, you're just wonderful. Anyway, I love you guys. Hey, Baron, have a good one. Say bye to everybody, would you?
Bye.
Oh, I hit that a little too soon. Damn it. He said everybody. All right, so that's really good. I want to go over a couple of things we got coming up. Let me go over here. We look at our upcoming shows. We did Eric already. Charles Reed is an interesting gentleman. I mentioned him earlier. Sorry, that's not the right one. So in the coming weeks, God, this should have been done way better. Jeez. In the coming weeks, we have Alan Lazaros. He's the director of Other Media and Next Level University. I'm really excited about that. He does a very looking within yourself and building confidence and building, the mental structures and the mental things that we need, whether we're up or whether we're down. I wanted to find Jeff Weber, Charles Reed. Oh, wow. The list is getting too high. So here's Shane Thrapp. Shane is this is going to be a fascinating discussion. I actually went after him on this one. Usually people are contacting me about doing it, but Shane is he works in the ADHD, the mental health area, and he's got some really neat perspectives and practices to help people make calm of the chaos. And I mentioned him earlier in the show, and I have a special interest in that show because it's got a personal edge to it. Daniel, Shelby Ring. Did you guys watch Roberto's yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. That was awesome. That was on the Bitcoin, AI, blockchain, Internet 3.0. These are all topics that are starting to come into life. Anyway, I obviously wasn't real prepared to talking about next week's show, so I won't bore you guys any longer. Thank you so much. Go out and say hi to somebody. As we were just talking, the vibe, right? Create a vibe that's better, that when you go into a space, it's better than it was before you got there. And that's a very easy thing to do. That's just look at life as a curiosity. Don't make judgments on things. I think we got a couple other people that came in here. What's the political misconception that needs to be debunked? All right. Well, I think we got everything, guys. All right. Love you guys. I'm Rod Duff. Producer Barbie's on the text. You guys ought to say hi to her when you come on sometimes. But the most important thing is let's get talking together. Let's see how different views come together and create new views, new truths, new realities. That's it for now. With that, I'm Rod Duff. Producer Barbie is not in the snowstorm I'm in. That's for darn sure. Love you. See ya. Bye for now. So, as you could tell, I just got through running across the cornfields with my dogs to come over here on a Saturday and say hi to everybody. So I'll get better at this. We'll get higher quality in the editing room because I do all my own production too. Anyway, again, love you guys. Go say hi to somebody. Just wave at somebody. Start there. Just wave at some people. Younger people, older people. I did that backwards, didn't I? Younger people, older people. Just go out and say hi. Let's start. There was a hashtag that Barbie wants to get started. I'll have to look that up. I'll have to look through some of the old films. We need to be pulling together and discussing these items and not be afraid to have a dinner, what do they call it, table dinner, or around the dinner table. Politics is a device to keep this country moving forward. I know that all the people in the middle class want this country to keep moving forward. I also know that the politicians we have currently in place on both sides of the aisle, some way more than others, but we have a situation now where the politicians don't want us to necessarily move forward. They want, and our education and our information to be lower and lower so that they can control and control more. They have very perfect lives, really. And these are the things we don't understand. You know, we need to really be able to have the courage and have the patience to be looking at our politicians more directly, with more information. As I've said before, we have a utopia coming, and if we don't have control over our politicians, as that utopia comes, then we won't have that utopia. We will be moved into whatever needs that the country has, without the rewards. This middle class of America has been stronger and done more than my own. I know I'm biased, but than any other. As a matter of fact, all the middle classes, around the world, is what the economy is built on, and we have no say at how that money is spent.